So hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the next Flutter Cracow meetup. So yeah, today we have like two really great talks prepared by Salih and Martin. So let's start from the beginning. So hey once again. So my name is Arek Biela, and I am one of the co-organizer of Flutter Cracow meetup. So together with Pavel Kastelik, we organized the meetup since last year. So far, we have like more than 400 people in our group. So I'm really happy to see over 70 new community members since last meetup. So welcome. I'm really happy to see you here. In the meantime, like we still have, lots of people who are following us from the first time. So, I'm really happy that our meetup and our community is growing. Okay, so a bit about Krakow. So what's the Krakow? What's the place? So Krakow is a, beautiful city in Poland. So, times are crazy right now, but I hope that one day you will be able to join us as a beautiful city. We have great places, great developers, and also great companies. So one of them is Softnotes. So Softnotes is a mobile software house located in Krakow, and Softnotes supports our meetup today. So thanks for that. And a bit about Softnotes. So Softnotes creates like custom mobile applications for the customers all over the world, and they are Flutter first approach. So all mobile applications are built in Softnote with Flutter. So if you are more interested, you can visit their website. So thanks for the support. Okay, and a bit about our today's agenda. So today we have like two great talks. Our first speaker will be Flutter GD, Salih Gular, with his presentation about custom painting in Flutter. Then we will have a short break, like 5-10 minutes. And then we will move into the second presentation, which would be Martin Schauek's presentation about Flutter and scrolling to perfection. So one thing about the organization element. So during our presentation, you can leave your comments on the stream. After each presenter finishes the presentation, we would like to spend a bit of time on QAing. So please leave it there, and we will select the best questions for the presentation. Okay, so I think that's all. So let's move into the first presentation. So our first speaker is Salih Guler. And yeah, like he will be talking a bit about custom painting in Flutter. So let me move it into the Salih. Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm here, so it's good. Okay. So I will just start now. So first of all, thank you everyone for being here in this Thursday evening. I know it's almost at the end of the week. You're all tired, but we have like great people here, and I'm sure it will be something new, something nice for all of you to actually move forward with. And I'm also really excited to hear Martin's talk one more time as well. So it's going to be crazy. So today I'm going to be talking about custom painting in Flutter to you. The topic itself is actually something that is quite straightforward, but I want to give you the actually opportunities, that the ideas that you might have that is going to be useful for you in case you wanna have something completely custom drawn, right? So let's continue. A bit about myself. If you don't know me, I'm Sali. I have been living in Berlin for 4 years now. I've been doing Flutter apps around 3 years now. I'm a Flutter and Dart GDE. I've been talking at the conferences. I've been contributing to the community packages and the Flutter itself. I've been doing a lot of Flutter apps for the clients and for the companies that I'm working for right now. And also, I am a huge community member. If you met me, you will most likely be able to meet me during a conference or community place, because I love all of them. I am I'm the founder of the Flutter Turkey, and I actually co-founded the Flutter Berlin community as well. Right now, I'm working as a senior mobile developer at Superlist, actually like senior software engineer right now, because our main product is in Flutter Desktop, and we are a productivity tool that has been founded by the ex-Wunderlist people. So we are hiring right now. If you want to work in a Flutter Desktop app or so on, and if you're in the European time zone, we are working remotely. So please just go ahead from the QR or reach out to me from Twitter, and we can talk about it. Cool. So today's agenda. First, we will talk about why we need the custom painting. Then we will be talking about what do we mean by the screen pixels, and so on and so forth. And what are the main aspects of custom painting in Flutter? What we have custom paint, we have custom painter, we have paint, canvas, and path, all of them. And at the end, we will have some Q&A. And along the way, obviously, we will not just talk about it, we will also see some code. So let's start with why we needed part. Why we need part is actually quite straightforward, right? We might have customized widgets from the Flutter SDK itself, but it is not always the optimal one. You might want to draw some graphs and so on and so forth. And basically, you might want to just show something that is written by hand or something. And that way, you might not be able to do it with a simple container or so on. You might want to have something in a stroke way that has an empty field and so on. So anything you might want to have that is not part of Flutter UI components, that you can do it with custom painting. Another point is you might want to have something that you want to draw on canvas, right? You might want to draw something on canvas, and like a signature app or painting app. That is actually the way to do it, because Flutter is giving you a canvas that you can work on. So if you have a canvas that you can work on, why would you just not use it? And last but not least, you might want to have access to the low-level UI features that just push the boundaries of the GPU and Skia engine by simply using the amazing math formulas. So let's talk about the pixel system, because this is one of the things that people really get wrong, and we need to understand when we paint something, how we paint it, and why we paint it, and what is the way to do it. When you think about it, it is actually quite straightforward. The left up edge is the 0, point, and the right bottom part is the very end with the width and height components. Each pixel will have one coordination point, and you will be drawing around this part. Also, you will be navigating your drawer, your path, or whatever you want to call it, around these logical pixels. So you will be drawing on top of this, actually. Cool. So let's continue with the next one. So first, we will start from top, then we will go to the details. What do we mean by top? What we mean by top is quite straightforward. What we mean by top is actually something that we need to be taking care of as a widget, so we can put it inside our widget tree, right? So that is why Flutter gives us a widget called Custom Paint. It just provides us a canvas to draw on, and it is asking us to provide something really important that is called a painter. Painter, that is something that we are going to be talking about in a second, comes from Custom Painter, and it paints before the child is created. So this way, you will be able to shape your child in a way that you want, actually. But what if you want to paint after the child? Then you will be using foreground painter. And obviously, if you want to paint before or after your child, you need to have a child widget to just have it around. And last but not least, you might have a size that you can just give to be able to size your custom paint widget. Custom paint widget itself is basically calling the first painter, just throws whatever it is provided to you by the custom painter itself. And it doesn't require anything like set state or mark needs layout or anything. It doesn't require, and you can't do it anyway because it does its painting like during the frame creation. That is why once the frame is created, you can't just redo it. And that is why custom paint, and with custom paint, you can't use set state or so. Awesome. Next one. So in an example part, how you can use it is, again, it is quite straightforward. Let's imagine that we have a Flutter Cracow sample app that is a stateless widget. And inside the stateless app, it is just, you can just return this custom paint as a widget. Obviously, this is not going to be doing something right now because of what we said was important. We need to have a custom painter. Custom painter is the main hero here that is doing the heavy work actually for us. What do we mean by the heavy work, right? By heavy work, we mean that it is doing the painting for us, taking care of the canvas for us. Not only taking care of only these, it also checks out when to build it and when to paint it and when not. And these are really important. It checks out also if you are doing the tap recognition that you're supposed to do and so on and so forth. It does really important operations. But what we need to care the most is the part that how it handles the painting part. So for creating a custom painter, you need to extend the class custom painter from a class that you're going to be creating. For this purpose, you will be just writing that, like for example, in this case, it is Flutter Cracow custom painter, and you can just extend it from custom painter itself. And what it does is it will be asking you to override two functions. Really important ones. One of them is the paint. Paint one is the one that is doing the custom painting for you. It will be giving you a canvas. As I said, like canvas is the place that you will be doing your drawing, and it will be giving you the size of the parent widget that you have. And it will be asking you to override a function called should repaint, because using the painter can be really, really expensive. We don't want to have this all the time. We want to repaint only and only when we need it. And for that purpose, you can just compare the previous values with the new ones and check out if it needs to be repainted or not directly. I've been talking about canvas all the time and saying we will get a canvas, what is canvas, so on and so forth. But the question is actually exactly what is canvas? Canvas is basically an interface with the graphical coordinates that we have talked about earlier. And this graphical coordinations, it is a hard word. So these graphical points, I will be making it simpler. So these graphical points are really important that Canvas will be also giving this information for us to be able to just draw that on it. So it will be porting this information for us so we can use it. Behind the scenes, it will be delivering something called scene and scene builder to make this painting behavior more smoothly. But actually, it is quite when you think about it, even though it looks like it's an overhead, but it's not. It is actually quite useful. And canvas is basically exactly the same as in the painting. It's just an empty space with the width and height that has been provided before. Cool. So how do we use the canvas, right? Because canvas itself comes with a lot of different functions that we can use. And actually, sorry, we missed one point, paint. So before we jump into the code part about canvas, I wanted to talk about actually paint. Paint is a special class that we will be holding information, the description about the drawing for our widget. So it will be giving us the information about how to paint it, with which style of painting, with which color, and so on and so forth. Every little thing that you will be doing will be used by Paint. Now we can take a look into the code. The code itself is quite straightforward, actually. Inside the Paint function, now we will be starting off with the Paint. And for creating a Paint function, you will be first creating the Paint object, and you will be using the you can just assign the values to it in a way that you would prefer. I use the cascade operator. Said this color from this paint will be red. It will be in the style of stroke. So this way it will be doing not filling but giving a stroke inside it. And now that we have the painter, it didn't have any painting yet, so just wait a second. How do we use the custom painter is something really important as well. Inside the custom paint, now we can just give our custom painter. And when we give this custom painter inside the custom paint, it will be doing nothing actually, because it will be first throwing an exception because we had not implemented the should repaint. And secondly, the main problem here is around it is not doing the painting inside the paint function with canvas. So as I said, with the canvas, you can do a lot of stuff. It gives you an empty space to draw on, and it comes with a lot of useful, actually, a lot of useful functions that you can do some drawing about, like draw arc, draw atlas, draw circle, draw color. You can draw almost everything with the information that you have. So how do we do the drawing? So what we are going to do now is we will be starting off with drawing on the canvas itself. The canvas itself is, as we have seen, it is giving us some functions that we can use. So what we are going to do now is first we will be creating we will be getting the radius for the whole available space for us. And with this way, we will be having a radius, so we will be trying to draw a circle. And after we decide to draw a circle and get the radius, now we need to have the center point that where we are going to be starting to draw. So it will be drawing around it with the information that we have. And last but not least, we need to use the math function from canvas. We will be saying canvas that draw circle. It will ask for a center. We have provided that with the, again, like with the size available for us. It will be asking us the radius. We have also provided that as well. And last but not least, it will be asking us the paint object. And this is simply in the way that we have created before. Right now, you can omit the should repaint part because should repaint part will be handled later on. But this way, you will just see that it is going to do its own first drawing. And when you run your app with the exact same code so far that you've seen, it will be showing how it looks like as a small circle. So far, it looks nice. It's a yellow circle. It's good, right? Like it does what it's supposed to do. So let's continue. Now that we have talked about how to draw a circle, let's talk about how we can do the drawing for our own, let's say, other arcs, other lines, and so on and so forth. So it is going around quite simple. We want to, for example, put a smile to the simply on this yellow thing, so it will look like somehow an emoji. So what we want to do now is first, we don't want to have a filled version of whatever we are doing anymore. We want to have actually something strokes, something that is doing only the rounds and circles. So for doing that, Canvas has a draw arc function that you can do, and it is going to be accepting a value from any rectangle or any actually shape, and it will be doing the cutting off of the rectangle after it is drawn. And after that, what it's going to be doing will be just put in the part that is calculated after what we have provided. And next, we will be simply doing 2 circles for the eyes. And with the arc, what we were doing, we will be drawing a circle and cutting off the top and getting rid of the top and use the bottom part. And when you run the code now, you will be seeing a happy face. So far, everything is good. Everything is nice, right? Like it's going forward, so nothing to complain about. But this was actually something simple. Sometimes we will be doing even something more crazier. As I said, like for the for the parts about, for example, think about the graphs and everything that are actually super custom. Just imagine all the apps that you see out there. And what it does is, it is actually, again, quite straightforward. It provides you one object that you can use for this purpose. And this object is called path. Path is something that you can use. It is just a complex object that is keeping information about a plane space in a one-dimensional subset. So it gives you all the subpaths possible, either you provide or either you need to do. And it gets those paths, puts it into the operation, and just draws it at the end to the canvas. So it does everything first, then goes to the canvas and does the drawing operation. With the draw path, if you're good with math, you can actually do a lot of things. But how you can use the path, right? So for this purpose, I had created another application. It is actually simpler. The first part is more or less the same. This custom paint part will stay the same, but I put a slider below. So what I'm going to do now is I will be drawing a shape with the slider value that has been provided from 3 to 10. So if it's a triangle, it will be showing a triangle. If it's a rectangle, and so on and so forth, we will be seeing this. So for this purpose, what you need to do is you will be creating a new painter, or you need to be adjusting your painter. So first, you will be creating a size value, which will be provided to the paint, and it will be doing the drawing for us. And this value will come from actually the value that has been received by the slider. Second thing that you're going to be doing will be creating the paint object. Paint object will get a color of blue, and it will be doing a stroke, so it will not be filling out in, and all the edges will be round, so it will have some nice view around it. And I did something wrong. Actually, you need to use the final, not the var one, so that was something wrong. Anyway, so now we are inside the paint function. We have created the paint object and everything, so all good. Now we will be using that values. First, we need to create a path, because this is what we learned, right? And what we need to do now is we need to decide on the angle of the rectangle that we are going to be creating. So it will, with the size value that we have, we will be getting the angle value by simply using the mathematical mathematical functions that we know from, for example, high school. And we will be, again, putting the drawing to the center, and the center of the screen will be, again, decided by the size that we have been provided with. And afterwards, what we need to do is we need to have the starting point, and we need to have the ending point for each platform. First, for the starting point, we need to decide on the angle, and with the angle that we have provided, we will have a certain starting point with the cosine of the flat line that we have. And after that, with the number of sides, what we are going to do is we will be just, first we are going to be putting the cursor to the place to start. Then for each side, we will be drawing a line from one point to the other with the angle values that we have received. And after we draw all the lines necessary, we will be closing the path. So we are sure that nothing will be drawn with that anymore. Then we will be using the canvas to draw the path with the paint that we provided. But I was talking about how you were going to do the should repaint part, right? And should repaint is actually something quite straightforward. If you have some values like you had in our custom painter, if you have some values like public values or some class level values, you can compare those and check out if they are the same. It shouldn't repaint itself. If they are not the same, then it should repaint itself. This is something that you should be doing. So when you do this, you will have the slider and everything. And if you move the slider, it will be drawing in the same way that you would be thinking about. And everything will be looking differently with the simple code that we have achieved. I had gathered some resources for path, learning the path. It is quite important because it was one of the first topics that I had actually wrote about. So this way, we would be simply doing something that we can imagine. And back in the days when I had written it, there was absolutely nothing about it. And now a lot of good libraries going around. So that is a really great chance for all of you to learn about it. And yeah, that's all from my side. Yeah, thank you for listening. If you have any questions about anything, just let me know. And yeah, let me go back to here. And if you want to follow, this is the Twitter address of mine. And again, we are hiring, so feel free to apply for the work with us.
Nice. Thanks, Sally, for your presentation. So as Sally said, if you have some questions, please, just write it down in the comments and we will select and ask them. So in the meantime, I have maybe the first question to you. So could you, share with us what was the, most advanced, element that you created with the custom painter and custom painting?
For me, it was definitely some graph that we have did for, so back in, I think one and a half or 2 years ago, we had a chance to work with a meditation app. And meditation app was doing some tracking for for simply the performance of your meditations and so on and so forth. So they wanted to have something about this graph, and that's why we had implemented this custom graph for that person. So that was really, really nice, and it was actually quite impressive from our side, I must say.
Nice. Thanks for that. Okay, I think that we have some questions, so let's show the first one. So the question from Glenn. So does the painter handle the redraw automatically of the canvas changes size, like phone rotation, and you want to adjust that?
Yeah, it does. It does. Everything that it does is because at the end of the day, we are getting the size. If you do, okay, let's put it this way. If you don't care about all the sizes that has been provided to you by the painter, it is not going to do it, obviously. But if you care about the size that has been provided to you, it will be changing once the screen size changes or the available space changes according to what the parent provides down to the child. So it automatically should do if you are respectful to the sizes.
Okay, thanks for that.
Yeah.
We have one more question. So you can share some use cases where custom paint works the best.
Yeah, biggest point, right now in my Flutter career, what we have used most common was for the signature part, we have used custom painters and canvases behind the scenes. Besides that, with the graphs, we have used it a lot. And also with the real, sometimes we needed to do some cutoff from the edges of the widgets and so on and so forth, and we need to do some, for example, glow effects and etc. We had also used custom painter with those as well. So it's just up to your needs and imaginations, but mostly it can be used around graphs and custom rendering objects, I must say.
Okay, so maybe one additional thing to that. So maybe in the opposite. So are there some use cases that you think that you should avoid custom painting, like from your experience?
Yeah, I mean, I would suggest to first try out the Flutter's widgets, like what you can do with the box decorations and so on and so forth. Just try out everything possible out there, because like Flutter also gives you a lot of flexibility with these, because it requires a lot of calculation and so on and so forth. So it is not super easy to handle it. So I would just suggest that first try out what you have already by the Flutter ecosystem. If it doesn't work, then go with the custom painter.
Okay, thanks for that.
No
Do we have some more questions? So it's the best chance right now to ask Sally about that.
Cool.
Cool. Okay. So thanks for that. Thanks, Sally, for your presentation. So
Yeah,
as
for
Sally said,
having me.
you can find him on Twitter, and yeah, like thanks for your presentation. So right now we can make a small 5 minutes break, and we will go back to the second presentation by Marcin about scrolling. So right now we have 5:30 UTC time. So yeah, very free. So let's assume that in 7 minutes we will go back and continue our presentation. Thanks for that.
Hello there. I can see myself, although I'm not sure if I can be heard. Arek, can you confirm it with me? Because I can't hear you at all.
Everything is fine. I can see your presentation. I can hear perfectly, so everything is fine.
So I guess I can start, right?
Exactly.
All right. So first of all, thanks, Salih, for the presentation. My name is Marcin Szałek. I am Flutter developer since alpha release. And today I will tell you about scrolling to perfection in Flutter. Now, first of all, I need to explain to you why such a topic, because like scrolling is not something that would like come to your mind at first, like a topic of meetup presentation. Well, initially, when I was preparing for this talk, I actually wanted to do a talk about Flutter Web and creating like customized, nice animations on Flutter Web. However, when I was doing research on the designs on Flutter Web, I have noticed that most of user interactions on web are actually based on scrolling. Therefore, I decided to go more into scrolling. And today, I would like to share with you some of nice scrolling effects. And I will tell you how you can approach them, how you can implement them, and basically how you can put your scrolling animations to the next level in your Flutter app. And to do that, I will share with you 5 amazing scrolling tips that I believe are that are enough for you to create like really customized, nice scrolling effects in Flutter. So to get things started, first thing is that you can calculate widget position on the screen. And what does it mean and why do we care? We will see at an example that I have found on WhatsApp application on iOS. So in WhatsApp application on iOS, you can see a nice effect on the images. Basically, when user scrolls the image, you can see that some of them are slightly moving in a different speed than the basic scrolling effect. So it is very subtle, but there is this nice animation. Yeah, I know that it's very subtle. So actually, I will show you the images to explain exactly what is the effect. So here are the 2 screenshots of WhatsApp application. And let's look at the lake images there. And when we get those images side by side, you can see that like on one screenshot, the image is on like at the very top of the screen. On the other screenshot, the image is on the bottom of the screen. And those 2 images have the exact same size, right? But if you look at the lake borderline, you can see it actually doesn't match. So what it means is that the image inside the frame is actually aligned a bit differently based on where it is placed on the screen. And this is the effect I would like to tell you. I would like to show you how to implement it. So in our single image widget, first we'll get the render object. Now, I will not explain to you what is render object, because it could be a separate talk just about that. I will just show you how to use it. So if we use context that finds render object, we can then use local to global method to get the, I call it offset y. Offset y is basically the distance from the top of the screen to the top of the widget. So if we take the middle image there, it is like this red arrow, right? And we can also get the device height, for example, from media query. And here it is the white arrow. And we can divide it. So if we divide offset y by device height, we get the relative position of the widget. So if it will be on the very top, it will be equal to 0. And if it will be on the bottom, then it will be equal to 1. Right? So this is our relative position of a widget on the screen, basically. And having that, we can pass it to an alignment in the decoration image. Here we are passing its relative position minus 0.5. So the actual values will be like that. And what we can do here is that, well, we are saying that change the alignment of the image inside the card based off its position on the screen. Now, the alignment argument here, I'm using it in the decoration image, but you can also specify it in asset image, in network image. It's like all of them have this parameter. And with this, we actually get this effect. Now you can see it much more clearly that the images like move in a bit different speeds than what you'd expect, right? And it is all based on just this code, which I believe is pretty cool. However, if you're a more advanced developer, you may actually know that let me go back. Just having this this logic in the build method is not enough, because the build method will not be called every time user scrolls. We need to actually handle it by ourselves. So there goes our next tip, which is scroll animation can be used as animation for animated builder. And what do I mean by that? If we look at our scroll controller in like very basic widget, you can see that the scroll controller actually extends change notifier. And if you click on change notifier, you can see that it actually implements listenable. Now, if we look at the animated builder, which is a widget for building widgets in like animating widgets, let's say, you can see that there is an animation that is actually listenable. So what it means is that if we have our widget, we can wrap the single image, the image we wanted to animate, in the animated builder with the scroll controller. And what it will cause is that our single image, so actually every image on our page, will be rebuilt on every change of scroll controller. So then basically the effect that I showed you previously, we will have it. However, this could be also this could be also achieved by just adding listener to scroll controller and calling set state. But calling set state would mean that we will rebuild the whole page, which is not like in this case it would be very like it wouldn't matter a lot, but it's not really performant. Like it's not really optimal solution. And why it's not optimal, I will show you on another example. So this is the website of Very Good Ventures. And I was looking at this website and I found this really nice effect that you can see that the cards on the bottom, they are, when the user scrolls, they tend to like fade in and expand a bit. Right? You can see that if user scrolls down, they appear, and also if user scrolls up, they disappear. Right? And to have this effect, it is actually very easy. So we will have our widget that I called Very Good Wrapper, which will have the scroll controller and the child. Then we will wrap our widget in the animated builder using the controller we have, because we already know we can do it. Then this is the exact code as previously. Basically, we are getting the offset y, and we are getting the device height. Those are the red arrows on the right. Now what we can do is we can subtract those to have the height, the visible height of the widget. So this information tells us how many pixels of a widget are actually visible on the screen, and it is marked as an orange arrow. And with that, we can also calculate, we can get the widget height, which is the actual height of the widget, of how much this widget should actually take place, and actually takes place. And this is the green arrow there. And if we divide one by another, we can get the percentage of how much of this widget is actually shown on the screen. The clump is just to make it between 0 and 1. And yeah, this how much shown variable just tells us how much of this widget is visible on the screen. And if we have that, then we can calculate scale, opacity, offset, like whatever we want. And just here I use transform.scale and opacity of the child. And what you can see here, what's important, is that we are actually not rebuilding the child itself. We are just rebuilding the transform.scale and opacity, but the child remains untouched because we use animated builder. And this makes the whole animation much more optimized regarding performance. And the effect looks like that. So you can know that for every image there, we're basically checking how much of it there is, like, it is shown, right? And we are changing the opacity and the scale of that image, just like that. However, you can see that we are using the scroll controller, right? And we don't really want to pass scroll controller down the tree, right? We don't want to have this, like, every widget to accept scroll controller in the constructor, because, well, it will be just messy. So what we can do instead, we can actually use provider. And to be more specific, we can use change notifier provider, because, as I said, scroll controller is actually change notifier. So we can easily use change notifier provided value to provide a scroll controller. And then instead of animated builder, we can use consumer from the provider package to just rebuild our widget. And then we will also optimize it in terms of, like, changing only those aspects that we want. So the tip number 2 was that the scroll controller can be used as animation for animated builder or provider. Now, the tip number 3. Tip number 3 is stack is great for parallaxes. And again, I will show you an example that explains what I really mean by that. So here's the design I found on Dribble by Achraf El-Kami. And on this design, at the very top, you can see the parallax effect of the pyramid and the sand. So when the animation starts again, you can see that the sand actually covers the pyramid, which go also in a slightly different speed than the rest. Let's see it one more time. Yeah, so you can see that we have different elements that basically are moving on the scroll, but in different speed. And to achieve this effect, it is, as always, very simple. Basically, we will start with our list view, which will have the scroll controller and the children that we want to have underneath, like under the this parallax effect. And since stacks are great for creating parallax effect, we will wrap our list view in stack, and we will add a few elements on top of it. Now, those positioned elements, those will be the sand, the pyramid, the elements that we want to have the parallax effect. And offset is the scroll controller's offset, which is assigned to top variable of each of those positions. But what you can see, what is important in here, is that each of those offsets are multiplied by different number. And what it will mean is that while offset changes, each of those elements will move, but in different speed. So the sand will move faster, and it will cover the pyramids that will go a bit slower than it, and so on and so on. So we will have few elements that will just go in different speed, causing the parallax effect. Now, to see it, we will also need to add an empty container in our list view to just create space for all those elements. And all of it will actually look like this. Yes, so you can see that actually this is the image background, the pyramids and the sand. They look in slightly different speeds, causing this really, really nice effect. So that was the tip number 3. Stack is really great for parallaxes, and you should use it when you want to achieve some. Now the tip number 4 is also really important for animations. Basically, init state doesn't go well with scrolling. Now, if we go back to the same example, you can see we also have those like entrance animations. Like, yeah, now you can see it. Let me show you one more time. Yeah, we can see that the elements, when they appear on the screen, they are actually being animated there. And let's try to implement that. Now, normally, what you would do is we will have some like Egypt page state widget. We will create an animation controller to create an animation, right? And we will initialize it in init state, provide the duration, use the single ticker, provide state mixin, standard stuff. Then we will have the animated builder that we will use the animation. And we'll have the builder method. In our case, it will mean that the widget will move 100 pixels to the top when it appears. So basically, the widgets will appear from the bottom to their place. And having said that, now the only thing that that is missing is the forward animation of the animation controller to just start it. And what you could do, and what would like come to your mind at first, is to put it in the init state, right? So basically, when the widget is being like initialized, then just start the animation. However, it won't work in list view actually, because when you have the list view or like any long page, it doesn't matter like what exact widget we say, but let's say list view, then you may think that Flutter is only rendering the elements that are visible on the screen. However, it's not actually true. Flutter will also render some of the objects, like some of the widgets below and above our list view. And this is called cache extend. And it is there because Flutter wants to have some widgets ready to be displayed. So when user scrolls, it doesn't need to render those widgets like very quickly. It has them already like rendered, so the scrolling is very smooth. And by default, it equals to 250 pixels, and it is actually a parameter in our list view builder. So if it's a parameter, there could be a solution to widgets rendered too quickly. Oh, what I forgot to say. So basically, if those widgets are rendered before they're being visible, what it can actually cause is that the init state method will start, the animation will run, it can even end before this widget is actually being visible for the user, because it was rendered before for the optimization reasons, for the performance. So we would solve it by setting cache extend to 0. And then like widgets will only be rendered if they're visible. Therefore, we can just safely start animation in the init state. No, we cannot do it. We need this cache extend, because without it, basically our scrolling will be very laggy. And we don't want to create nice animations just to see them like being laggy and disabling user from having nice smooth scrolling. So don't make cache extend 0 if you don't have a really good reason to do it. So if you have this cache extend, it means that we cannot run the animation that forward in the init state. But what we can do, we can wrap our widget in the animated builder with using the scroll controller. And in the builder method, we can then again get the offset y, get the device height, and we can see if the offset y is smaller than device height. What it means is actually see if this widget is visible on the screen, right? Because if the offset y is smaller than device height, basically it means that the widget is visible on the screen. And only then run animation control.forward. Now there's also a check stating that animation, basically we're just checking if the animation is not already running, so we don't call forward like multiple times. But that's basically it. We can use the scroll controller inside the animated builder to see if the widget is being displayed and then start the animation. Now, this is a lot of code, and you may be worried about having to write all this code for your every widget that you want to animate in the scroll view. Luckily, you can see that our actual widget, our My Awesome widget, is referenced here only once. And if it's referenced only once, we could just replace it with like parameterized, like past widget. So basically, this is all just a wrapper around a widget to provide nice entrance animation. And this code will result in such effect, where you can see that the objects on the page are appearing like they're animating only when user has reached them, basically. And you wouldn't be able to just do it with the init state. So that was the tip number 4. Init state doesn't go well with scrolling. Now the last tip is that you can use stack to replace widgets. And again, I need to explain why would we care. So this is a design from, actually it's not a design, it's a deployed app and the website of Kuberto, kuberto.com, where you can see this nice effect of image being stopped at the screen, and this nice animation while user is still scrolling. You can see that the image stays in place, and the image is being changed on the scroll, right, as you can see right now. However, after the scrolling ends, I mean, the image goes up with the last page, right? So this is like very custom effect. However, it's actually really simple to do in Flutter. So the steps that we will have to do is first, we'll need a page view with some pages to display. Then we will hide the image scrolling, so it doesn't it's not scrolled all the time. It will be clearer in a minute. Then we will show this image with fixed position on the right side of our screen. And we'll just add a clipper for a nice effect. So we'll have those steps on the side, so we know where we are. Let's start with page view with pages. Here we have the page widget. It is totally boring widget, which has a row with a text and an image. Nothing exciting. And we will have 5 of those widgets in the page view. Now, normally, when you use page view in Flutter, if you stop scrolling between the pages, Flutter will animate will animate the page view to end on exactly one page, right? And this is a really cool effect. However, if we are having the vertical page view on the web, it would be very weird if user scrolled a bit and then he would be like moved back to the top. This effect is called page snapping, and we can disable it by having page snapping false. So we have our page view with 5 pages inside and 2 empty pages on top and on the bottom. And this will look like that. All right, so we have 5 pages. Each page has its own image, and basically we're just scrolling one by one. Nothing really exciting here. So we can move to step number 2, which is hiding the scrolling image. In our page widget, what we can do is we can basically check if the page is smaller or equal than 1 or greater or equal than 5. So basically, if the page is before first page or after 5th page, then we can show an image, and otherwise we will just hide it. And yeah, and well, basically that's it. And this will mean that the image basically disappears between, like, on pages from 1 to 5. And then, as you can see, it appears after page 5. And here's page 4, but it's just like the index starting from 0. But yeah, you can see that we are basically hiding the image in between pages 1 and 5, or 1 and 4, however you want to name it. Yeah. So we are hiding the image. Now let's use stack to put that image in the place it's supposed to be. So basically, we will have our page view. We will wrap it inside the stack, because stacks are great for replacing images in place. And we'll have the opposite condition in here. So if the page is between 1 and 5, what we will do is we will have an alignment to position our widget properly. We'll have ignore pointer to just not mess up with our behavior. We'll provide a size box to have exactly the same dimension of the image as in the pages. And we will create a stack with 5 images, one on top of each other. Now those stack images, they are basically an image. It is basically just an image that is being shown only if the page's controller page is smaller than index +2 in here. So basically what it means is that those images in the stack will be hidden once the page reaches some point. And this, to clear things out, will look like that. So basically, after the page is hidden, after the page, like some page is scrolled to, we're hiding an image. And this causes this effect. All right. So now, since we used scroll controller, or actually page controller, to replace those images, what we can do, so instead of just having the Boolean value, like should the image be shown, we can actually have a double value of how much of the page is being shown. Because page in the page controller is not actually an integer, it is a double saying what page it is being on, and like, for example, 1.5, meaning it's between 1 and 2. So we can use that to basically calculate for a given image of how much of this image is actually should be shown. Here by just subtracting index and 1. And having that, I will here use Wave Clipper to provide this nice animation, but you can do anything you want. You can provide opacity, you can scale down, scale up, transform, doesn't really matter. all that matters is that we are using page controller's page to set of what we want to show. And this will create this effect. Now, I know it may be like a bit quick, and I know that probably you're like, okay, but like I wouldn't, like for sure there's a lot more code to create such effect. However, there's actually not. You have seen almost, like what you haven't seen is the wave clipper part, but this is like totally like doesn't really matter in scope of like scrolling, right? You have seen everything you need to create such nice effects, which I believe is pretty cool because you don't really need like super like complicated widgets. You just need to remember those 5 tips, which are basically, you can calculate widget position on the screen. You can use scroll controller for animation in animated builder. You can use stack both for parallaxes as well as some nice custom effects when widget can, for example, stay in place. And init state is not good for scrolling, which is something that you really should remember as well. So I have been talking for about half an hour about scrolling and those like customized cool scrolling effects, but I haven't talked about slivers. Now, you may have heard that like slivers are like we should use slivers for those custom like unique effects in scrolling, and technically it's true. Although what I wanted to show you today is that it's not actually necessary to do it like that. I mean, very often you don't need to use slivers to create those nice scrolling effects. However, sometimes they are actually useful, and unfortunately I will not show you the code for that, but this is a really nice animation that I found during research for this presentation, where you can see that there's a page, and when user scrolls, actually user scrolling, you can see the scroll bar on the right, like drives this animation to go forward or backward. Let me show you one more time. Yeah, and effect like that can be actually easily done in Flutter with using sliver persisting header, I believe. So basically, this same effect can be achieved in Flutter. Now, I will not show you the code because it is like, we would need to go deep into slivers to like explain it clearly, but you can check it on the feeder.io/scroll. You can see this animation and you can see the code there. So, having said everything about those scrollings, I should answer the question that we started with. So basically, can we have awesome scrolling on web? Because most of those designs were actually on web. And the question is, can we adapt those nice, cool Flutter animations with scrolling on web? And the answer is, it depends. So you may be thinking, like, why? Like, I've been talking for half an hour, it's all really easy and it all works. Why it doesn't work? Well, the biggest problem is mouse scroll wheel that we used on web that we don't have actually on mobile. Because here's the example of the WhatsApp parallax effect that I showed you at the beginning. And now you can see how it looks with the scroll wheel. And it's very, very laggy. And you can see that with the touchpad of the MacBook, it's really smooth. But once you start using the scroll wheel, it's actually, well, it doesn't look good, right? And this is the problem with a lot of cases. So, for example, with this design that we also already implemented, you can see that when user stops scrolling, actually there's this like very subtle animation of scrolling just a little bit, like slowing down the scrolling effect. And this I tried a lot, but I wasn't able to implement it on Flutter using the scroll wheel of the mouse. What's more, this is another design that I have found and I really liked, because like it's driven on like this user scroll effect and it's super awesome, customized, and well, I really, really like it. And I even did implement it. And if you do it like you can see the mouse doing the scroll effect, it's really, really nice. However, if you start doing the mouse wheel with the page view, it can provide really weird effects like that. And yeah, so the general idea is that if you want to use scroll animations, then the answer is definitely yes, you can use scroll animations. However, if you want to scroll animations on web, it depends. And it depends on you if you can somehow manage this scroll wheel from the mouse effects. Yeah. So if you want to know more about scrolling and about like having those customized effects, I have recorded a tutorial on how to implement this design in Flutter, link below. And here I go like really deep into how to implement it. I code everything on the video, so there will be no shortcuts. Everything is there. And if you want to like understand it more deeply, then I highly recommend this tutorial on how to achieve like really cool scrolling effects. Also, you can check out website feedef.io/scroll, where we have all the examples from today deployed already. And in the top right corner, there is a GitHub icon where you can find all the code showed to you today. So it's up there already. You can go there and basically see how is everything done, and that it's actually not that hard. Because today you have seen really cool scrolling effects, and they are all very simple. With those 5 tips, you are really ready to implement them. Therefore, I can now officially and only verbally announce you certified scrolling animation master in Flutter. So please don't hesitate now. You can add those nice scrolling effects in your application starting even tomorrow, although tomorrow is Friday, so maybe propose it on Monday. And yeah, basically, sky is the limit. You can do it with just remembering those 5 tips I told you earlier. Now, my name is Martin Szałek. Thank you very much for listening. If you want to reach me, there's my Twitter tag. And again, everything I showed you today will be available on feedef.io/scroll. Thank you very much again. And I guess I'm giving microphone back to Arek.
Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks, Martin. So being honest, like it was a great presentation. I haven't finished my today's task with scrolling, but from this presentation, I will be remembering that, sky is the limit. So, my mindset about, doing scrolling is definitely, totally different. So thanks for that. Like from what I observed in terms of the comments, like people were impressed by the number of examples and how deep you presented it. So thanks for that. So yeah, like right now is a great time for asking any questions to Martin. I think that we have one from Paweł. So just wonder if in second example with enlarging pictures, is the whole grid wrapped with the presenter widget or each image wrapped separately?
Good question. Each image is wrapped separately. And that was like the main idea of the second example, to wrap each image separately so that we cost rebuilds only of those images that actually need to be rebuilt, right? Because if we just wrap everything, we could just use set state and like don't care about all those animation builders and so on. But doing that may cause performance problems. So each of those small elements was wrapped in the animated builder that was checking the given image position on the screen.
Okay, thanks for that. So there was a question also about available samples on the GitHub repository, but I think that you already mentioned it and shared. So you can find it on on Martin's GitHub, and also you can visit his website. Yeah, exactly. So you can visit his website. So maybe you have some more questions to Martin.
If something will like pop to your mind, you can always tag me on Twitter and I will find you.
Exactly. Okay, so once again, thanks, Martin, for your presentation. Thanks for your time. We really appreciate it. And yeah, like I think that we finished today our presentations. So let me back to the screen. So that was Martin Schauek's talk about scrolling to perfection. And right now, like we are finishing our today's meetup. And if somebody of you feels that maybe it's a great idea to share the knowledge and experience with the Flutter project, like feel free to reach us at Twitter. So we are at Flutter Cracow at Twitter, and we are more than happy to talk about it. What's more, tweet at Flutter Cracow and share how you like the event. So definitely it would be great to hear from you what you like, what maybe what would you like to see on the next meetups. What's more, about our partner Softmount. So Softmount is hiring. So if you'd like to learn more about the Flutter developer position, you can join that link. And leave us feedback. So definitely, like whatever it's a meetup or Twitter, we are more than happy to listen from you. So I saw one more question, so maybe I will go back to the Martin and let him answer this question. So question from Mati. So any idea why mouse scrolling is not that good right now?
Yeah. So basically, from what I saw is that mouse scrolling is, it is basically on every tick of the mouse, it is jumping on on our list view. And I haven't even previously I haven't even noticed it, but in most of websites, you don't even see it because it's just normal behavior that you scroll and the mouse is jumping a little bit. You don't even see it. However, if you want to create those nice animations, it is actually starting to be visible. And the problem is that so far, Flutter handles the gestures very, very nicely, so that when user scrolls, there's this fallback scroll, let's call it, so that it is very, very smooth, right? And they calculate a lot of things when user has this drag scrolls. But when user just using the scroll wheel, it's just jumping for some amount of pixels. And because those are handled separately, for me at least, it was really, really hard to even create some customized animations to finish the scrolling that would cover both mouse wheel and this drag behavior. I hope it helps you a bit. Also, I hope that Flutter team will like cover it at some time, right? Because I don't think it is something that is like totally out of their reach. Basically, it's not a top priority, which actually makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks for that answer. So yeah, I think that we are done. So thanks once again, Martin, for answering, and thanks for presenting. And yeah, so yeah, leave us a feedback, and yeah, like thank you for your time today. It was a pleasure to host that event, to host you, Sally, and Martin with great presentation. Like it's not the end. Like we are, planning to to organize next meetups. Hopefully, it would be during the next year, and the next year would be much better, and maybe we will be able to to meet also both online and offline, and we can make some networking. So yeah, like stay safe, have a great Christmas and New Year, and we are seeing next year. So see you. Oh, there are some questions. Oh, I'm sorry. So maybe one more question from Raul.
I'm still here.
Yeah, I know. So question from Raul. So does the set state work well when listening for scroll events, or what's the recommended way to react to scroll events?
So the set state works. However, what set state will cause, it will cause like everything in that state to rebuild. And we kind of want to avoid unnecessary builds, because basically on like older devices, it can be just like not smooth. Therefore, I would suggest, instead of just adding listener to scroll events, like to scroll controller or page controller and calling set state, I would suggest using either animated builder or change notifier provider, because they have the child parameter and the builder method. And in child, you can specify what is there that actually doesn't need to rebuild and it can be reused. And in the builder, you can actually have the logic that is dependent of the scroll state, like of the scrolling that is happening. Yeah.
Okay. So thanks for that. One more time, I'm looking at the comments. Maybe there will be like last call with the comments, but yeah, I think that everything is covered. So thank you once again, and see you next year. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.